What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. So today's the day. We're gonna take this Hammer Miner DC02 over to the bench, and we're gonna tear it down. I want a good look at the board. Want to see if there's a chance we might be able to reverse engineer anything on it. Um, yeah, kind of curious. It's been running good. I haven't had any trouble. Been hashing about 110 mega hash, but it's time. Mine's been running about 50C, 49C. It's been doing pretty good. There's the screen right there. I love the display on these. Also, this is the one from Helium Deploy, and it comes in the AvoidBit bit track. Well, the AvoidBit Launchpad stand, pretty cool. So let's get this moved over to the bench and we'll check it out. Okay, guys. So here we are at the bench. Just to give you a bit of a spec breakdown, I've been looking for what chips it uses. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, they're Scrypt chips. So, according to Helium Deploy, it's 105 mega hash. It's a 30-watt miner, 12 volt 5 amps. So, roughly in there, 30. It says it consumes 25 watts, but mine's been consuming about 28 when I tested it. So let's get it off the stand. Let's get a breakdown on this thing, check it out, and then we'll pop this thing all apart, this heatsink and everything. So this is the AvoidBit Launchpad. This one's specifically for Helium Deploy. I really like AvoidBit products, so they won me with that. I will say this: they didn't win me with the price. Paid 130 or $325 and got a gamma with it. You haven't seen that video. I have an unboxing video where it was kind of not cool. The way this was packaged was pretty terrible, and then the gamma itself was having trouble. So let's go ahead and pull the screws out of the back here. We're going to take these 4 screws to take it off of the stand. No, I just figured this time around it's time to let's just open it up, get a good look at everything, get some good pictures of it. I'll be sending some of this information over to a friend of mine to try to reverse engineer it if we can, and maybe we'll get we can get a custom firmware made for it. Not that their firmware is bad. To be honest, their firmware is really good, and I'll show you that here shortly, actually, to get a good look at their firmware because it's pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie, I actually like Hammer Miner's firmware. I'm not 100% sure who makes these. I guess I could always try to scan the QR code and find out, but let's see right there. Let's get a good look at the back of that board. Looks like they have a serial number on there. Interesting. And then it says DC02 right here. Maybe I'll have to scan this QR code. So, looks like it uses a LilyGo type display. I'm sure it's a different brand, probably an off brand. Model T display S3. So, if you guys don't know, on the displays or the ESP chips, that's where all the OS is stored. It's literally on this. That's what you flash. So if you ever have trouble and you need to flash a device like this, like a NerdX or NerdOctaX or NerdQX, you can literally just flash it with just this. You don't need the whole board to flash it. So we'll set that over here. Let's go ahead and take this fan off. It's an interesting little fan because it's super thin. I believe that's a 60 mil fan. Let's go ahead and just pop the screws out of it. Pretty thin. Probably wouldn't hurt to do a upgraded fan on this, just for more airflow. The problem with going between different miners, though, when you're doing different fans and stuff, sometimes the pinout is not the same. I was watching, I believe it's Altered Component, and he showed that on one of his miners that he went to swap the fan over and it wouldn't work. And well, it turns out the pinout for the fan is different. So just a friendly reminder, make sure the pinout's right because you don't want to screw something up. He didn't screw it up, but obviously, it's just good information to know. So there's a fan grill. And always appreciate the fan grills, guys. If you have these on your desk and you have little kids or a cat or something like that and they touch it and get their finger whacked or paw whacked, it wouldn't be very good. So nice thick heatsink. No complaints about that. I'm curious to see if it's anodized because if it is, we're going to remove the anodized coating. That's a given. I do it on every. So this does use a barrel jack. Not impressed with that on a 12-volt device, especially anything over in my mind, anything over the 30 watts. I wouldn't recommend a barrel jack, but I'm sure it's safer to higher than that. I believe it's 50-ish or so. So this is spring retention screws, so we're going to need to be really careful when we do this. We're going to have to go corner to corner to corner to corner like that. So we'll just kind of loosen it up, loosen this side up. That one's pretty tight. And loosen this side up. And we're just going to walk this off here. So nice and easy, guys. Don't need to get too crazy. We're just going to walk it off. Hopefully you guys can see that good. There's that one. We don't want to lose the little spring that's attached to the screw either. So I don't know if these ones will fly off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We'll just set those off to the side. I'm just curious of which chip from which miner they're using on this. Once I know, well, that fell off pretty quick. Oh, look at that thermal paste application. The fact that this wasn't getting too hot is good, but that's still a pretty crappy thermal paste application. So, yeah. Let's get a good look at the board with the thermal paste, and then I'm going to clean it off. I'm actually going to pause the video, clean it off, and then we'll get a good look at those chips because I'm curious, and I'll get on the net and find out which chips they are. So just hang in there for just a second, guys. Okay, guys, so we're back. So interestingly enough, I had to zoom in to take a picture of the ASICs on these. This is a Scrypt miner, just remember that. So curiously enough, I can't find any reference for this ASIC on the web. My best guess is that this is from a Volk miner. Okay, I can find chips for the L3, the L9, for any of the Bitmain stuff. Nothing on Volk miner. When I punch in the part number, which is UBY 967.00, and then there's also another number or letters on there that says TL-C-Y. Nothing. So I'm going to assume that these are from the Volk miner, which, I mean, look, you're not going to hide it from me. I'm going to figure it out one way or another. And if you guys know, let me know down in the comments. I'd be curious. But it's curious that I can't find nothing online. I even sent ChatGPT and Grok on a deep dive for it, and nothing. Not a thing. So, and the display is an actual LilyGo. I didn't see it at first, but yeah, no, it's an actual LilyGo. Very cool. So they anodize the bottom of the heatsink. We're going to fix that. Of course, we're going to fix that. This is a 2-chip setup. One thing I will say that is kind of unfortunate when it comes to this is the placement of, or not the placement, I should say, in the firmware, you can't see voltage temperatures, like you can't see voltage regulator temps or anything like that. It's just ASICs. So we are going to put heat sinks on. Obviously, we have our voltage regulators here and here, and then this right here, which is our inductor coil. I'll show you that. You can see the two ASICs there, or the two voltage regulators. And I probably will do the same thing and snap a picture of those so I can get some specs on them. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to hold this right here. I'm going to snap a picture of them, and then I'm going to look them up online and see what they refer to. So hang on just a second. All right, guys. So the voltage regulator on this is at TPS 546 Delta 24 Alpha. So according to Texas Instrument, this one is a 40 amp voltage regulator, buck converter, operating temperatures of -40 to 150. So it's your standard buck converter on just about every device I've seen. Is pretty close to the rest of them. So nothing too crazy there. Yeah. So that's it, man. It just says Hammer right there in the corner. Not 100% sure what that's referring to. Let's turn it over. Bin 31. So I wonder if that's a reference to which it is. So I'm actually going to scan that QR code if I can and see what it pulls up. Nothing. It won't actually reference anything. Let's try Google real quick and see if I can scan it this way. Nothing. Pulls up absolutely nothing there. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, what we're going to do, we are going to overclock this, and it does overclock pretty good. It gets up to about 140 mega hash. So, we want to do it safely. So, of course, we're gonna do up the voltage regulator and the inductor coil if we can, but the LilyGo screen is right there in the way, so we're gonna have to be slightly careful with that. We don't want to be touching any of these pins, and we don't want our, because this is actually a great heatsink for this. You see how it's got these flat sides? If you put it on just like that, it's going to direct air right over the top. And we might step up the fan size. I do have some thicker fans, these Apivias, like this brand right here. This might actually work, but the problem with these Apivias is these are a 3-pin instead of a 4-pin. And so either way, we'll figure it out. I actually think I might have a Noctua as well laying around here. Wouldn't that look funky with a Noctua fan on it? Either way, we'll figure it out. We'll get it set up. I'm going to go ahead, pause the video. I'm going to clean all this off, this anodizing. I'm going to see how hard it is. Because sometimes this anodizing coating is a pain to get off. But I'm going to test that real quick. So I'll be right back and I'll let you know what happens. Okay, guys, so anodizing was actually fairly easy to remove from this one. It wasn't too bad at all. Cleaned it up nicely. It's got a nice smooth surface to it. We're going to take some alcohol and just make sure there's no leftover residue on it from the sanding wheel. So I use like a flappy disc that just kind of cleans it off first, and then I take it to a Scotch-Brite pad to shine it up best I can. The whole idea of thermal paste is to create that thermal interface anyway, so it's not a big deal. I don't know if it's going to drop the temps, but I'm just preparing it because I do want to overclock it. So see, that's what I mean. You need to make sure after you're done sanding it to get that off there. I don't know if it'll hurt anything, and I don't care to find out. But I just clean it off real good like that. So we'll let it dry. So this one's going to be interesting. Let's take this LilyGo off out of the way real quick. So we're actually going to set the heatsink like this. And you can see the orientation here. See this long section of empty spot? That looks like this sits just like this. So we'll actually set this down like this first, and then we're going to apply thermal paste to the board. So let's just set it on there like that. There isn't a whole lot going on in the back. This might be some type of inductor or something like that, and we'll test the thermals on it. But we're going to go ahead and let's just use some good old MX6. You can see that right there. And we're going to lay it on pretty heavy. Look, guys, I can't stress this enough. This is non-conductive. So even if it gets on a critical component or, electrical component, it's not going to conduct electricity. It's completely safe. So just lay it on there. Don't be scared. Put a lot on there because you're going to need it. And it'll help with longevity to keep it nice and thick. Can't even say that word like an idiot, man. We're going to lay it on pretty thick on this, guys. If it gets on the board, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll set that like that. And like I said, now we'll have our screws ready to rock and roll because we're going to need them to install this. Like it's going to be installed like this. We're actually going to lay it on there like that. And then we're going to put our screws in. We'll see if we can get at least one started. I'm going to pick this up ever so slightly. Right about there, I think. Sometimes I got to stick my head in the way to get the squints to see. I'm so blind. Guess that happens old age. I tried doing a soldering project the other day, and I've been fairly good at it. And I used a hot or a blower, and I about blew all the parts off the board because I wasn't paying attention because I'm just eyesight bad. I couldn't tell if the component was getting warm. Just bad. So yeah, old age, great. Be 44 this year. Okay, so now when we tighten, guys, tighten in the sequence, just kind of a little bit at a time. The springs on these will help. They won't allow you. And there's a bar across the center, and I imagine that keeps you from crushing the device. So we'll just kind of do this and see, like, that one got tight. That one's tight, so we're cross pattern tight. And we'll just, they don't need to be cranked on there. There's enough thermal interfacing compound in there that's, we're good. We don't need to be too crazy, so, okay. Put the fan back on and the fan grill. For now, I'm just going to use the stock fan. It's not too big of a deal. Ain't too much to worry about. The stock fan is an HSC 12 volt brushless. So 12 volts, 0.25 amps, 2-ball bearing. Wow, that's kind of a, not the greatest kind of fan, but I mean, let's be real. Well, you know what? Let's not be real. If it's not a great fan, and it kind of isn't, why do they charge so much for this thing? You know, that's the part I don't like, is like, you spend a $325 is what I spent for it, and the fan, to give me a subpar fan. And I don't know if it's probably not Helium Deploy that makes this, because they're one of those bigger resale companies. I don't think they made this. I highly doubt they made this. I don't think they make anything. I think they're just a big reseller, which explains why, shipping was atrocious on this one. And I found it very weird that Pleb Sources, I don't know if Pleb Sources just, if they're shipping from China too, but again, I don't care if it's, I don't care about where it comes from. I care about quality, packaging. I mean, I have some really nice miners that came from China, so I don't really care about that. And I have some bad miners, not necessarily bad, but lesser quality, that were from the United States. So I don't care where it comes from. What I care about is how well it works. And this was one of those. This was the Pleb Source device was not the greatest, and on top of that, the packaging for this, and I don't know who packages it for them either. From my understanding, it's all pre-sale. Everything they sell, it looks to be pre-sale. So we're going to use this to put it on, because these screws are pretty long. But it looks like everything is from them is pre-sale, which is fine. I mean, we have plenty of good resellers out there, guys. It's not a big deal. But when the shipping is as atrocious as it is, and on top of that, you have pretty poor packaging, that is kind of an unfortunate deal. So, in the final review of this, it will get dinged for it. So, but okay, looks like we're back together. And let's put this display back on. I gotta make sure I have that oriented right. Looks like it is. And then we'll get the avoid bit case. And then this will go just like so. I really like the way that avoid bit set this one up, where it has those standoff studs, or those fixed nuts to the back of this in there. That's kind of nice. So that way, when you're, fixing it to a stand, it's great to have options. So Voidbit killed it with this one. Of course, I'm kind of addicted to all the stuff that guy makes. It makes really good mining equipment setups, for the racks and stuff like that. Like, technically, I do have another rack that I'm going to be putting in for some oddball miners. I believe the GT801 I'm going to put on there, and I might end up putting this on there too. You never know. I did message him about to see if he had a jetpack for this yet. He does not yet, but he's planning to make one sometime in the future. It just hasn't had. He's been really busy with other projects, so it is what it is. He's only one man. His designs are awesome, so it takes some time. He is making like a computer case style thing for different miners that fits the launch pads. I've been watching him on Twitter. Awesome. Okay, so we've seen the Hammer Miner. We know what chip it has. We know what kind of power it runs. Let's go set it up in the other room, and then I'll give some final thoughts on this overview. I just wanted to tear it apart, take some pictures of it, because I'm going to be sending this information over to a friend of mine, and we're going to see if we can reverse engineer it. He's pretty solid at doing that, and I'm not going to mention any names, but yeah, that's it, guys. That's it. Let's go set it back up, and I'll come back with any problems I may have, or if the thermals are good or whatever. I'll finalize this video real quick, so hang on. Okay, boys, so here we are. There's our current temp right there, 43. So we dropped some temp. We're hashing away, 108 mega hash. So this is Hammer OS. It is closed source. There is no open source to it. There's all the details there. Let's go over to settings to kind of show you that. You have a couple work modes where you can customize the voltage and frequency. One thing I can say, this looks like the update server, set the automatic fan, you can flip the screen. This is your overclock settings. Kind of cool, actually. They give you kind of like a what you can choose here, and you to select the overclock settings, you just go over here and hit customize voltage and frequency. So kind of neat, pretty clean. There's the location to get your updates, and then like you have your pool information right there, and you have dashboard and all that stuff. So pretty cool. We're running 44C, so we're doing good. It is a little undervolted, but it looks like this is their reference numbers, and then that's where it's at. So I imagine you can change that a little bit. So overall, guys, it's not too bad. The hardware looks nice. It's pretty clean. No weird conglomerations on the board itself. Um, I will find out what those chips go to. Maybe I'll have to. If you guys know, like it's a weird number. Let me pull it up real quick. I want to see if I can show you guys with my phone, because the only way I was able to see it was by zooming in on it with my phone. So that's the number right there. UBY 967.000 and then TLC TL-C-Y. I'm assuming it's Volk Miner. I know some of the other Hammer products are comparable with some of the using some of the Volk Miner chips and stuff like that. So, but I don't know for sure. So don't quote me on that. But I'd like to find out. If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments. Or even better, come over to the Discord and send me some references to it. That'd be really great. You can find me on the Jellyfish Discord. Link in my bio for that. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. I just wanted to do a breakdown overview of that. And then I had one go at this to get it right. So I think we did pretty good. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to hit me up. Do you have any experience with the Hammer Miner? Now, this is just the DC02. I don't know if I'm going to buy any more Hammer Miners just because the price is not there for me currently. But you never know. Maybe we'll come across one. So anyways, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Peace out.